A very good afternoon to all of you. Guys, it is time for us to not only focus on CAT, which I'm sure you guys are all doing, but start a slow preparation towards XAT also. So as a first step towards our endeavor or inner endeavor to help you crack this XAT exam, we bring to you the decision making section today. So I'm going to talk about this particular section, which is quite important because there are sectional cutoffs. There is a cutoff mark that you need to get in this particular section. And the most important part about the decision making is it is not there in any other exam. And normally we say when you prepare for CAT, almost all other exams will be covered, most of the syllabus is same. The exception is decision making. Decision making is not there in your CAT. It is not even close to anything that is there in CAT. Or the other way around, whatever is there in CAT is not even close to what is required in decision making. So this is a completely different animal. You need to tackle it very, very differently. So let's go ahead and take a look at what is this section and how does XAT test you, or what does XAT ask you and why do they ask this? Okay. So to be able to handle any section, you need to understand the purpose of its existence. So that's what we're going to start off with. So first, let's understand the section per se. Okay. Some facts about the section. Firstly, it's an entire section in itself, right? As I said, you have in the previous slide, you can see that there are 4 sections. You have your verbal ability and logical reasoning section. You have quant and DI together as a section. You have decision making and analytical reasoning as a section. So these 3 sections together will be giving you, or you'll be having 165 minutes to solve. After these 3 sections are done, then your GK will start around 25 questions. And that will be a separate timer for you. But this is the GK does not have any marks. So whether you do good, bad, doesn't really matter there. At least as far as the interview call is concerned. But when you're dealing with this 165 minutes, then that is where your 3 sections and the score you're getting in these 3 sections matter. Now, XLRI Jamshedpur has 2 good programs. One is HR and one is BM. Both of these programs require you to get minimum marks in each one of these 3 sections, right? So whether you are opting for an HR or HR program or a BM program, you will definitely need a minimum cutoff in the decision making and analytical reasoning section. So let's go ahead and understand what is this section all about. As I said, 21 questions come in this particular section. Obviously there is no time limit. Its overall is 165 minutes. So you can divide which section, what time according to your liking. And that's where the exam strategy comes in. We will talk about it in another video. Today we're going to understand this particular section of decision making. So as I said, there is no particular time limit per se. It's not that you have to finish it in 20 minutes or 30 minutes. You can decide. But there will be a total of 21 questions. Normally for the last 2-3 years, we have noticed that they have standardized this section and they have been giving 7 sets of 3 questions each. So 7 3s are 21. So this is how the decision making has started coming to the students in XAT over the last 2 or 3 years, if I remember it correctly. Okay. As I said, it requires its own score for both the programs that you're applying. And as I said, there is no sectional time limit. So you can devote as much time as you require. But one thing you'll notice, the good part about this particular section is it will not take too much of time. So let's take a look at advantages of this section. Firstly, it does not involve too much of calculation. Okay, it does not involve too much of calculation. So it's basically reading. Again, it's not like RC. It's very difficult to understand sometimes. No, it's not like that. You'll have a simple small passage. I have some questions for you to understand that. A small passage, probably about 10 lines will be given. It's a story. Again, it's not some out of the way philosophy kind of an RC. No, it's a simple story, a case which will be presented in front of you, and you will be asked what should be the course of action taken by a person in the story. Okay, and you'll be given various options. The best option should be picked up. So it is hardly any calculation in this kind of a question. You will use, in my opinion, you will not, or you should not use more than 25 minutes in this section, because as I said, it's not calculation intensive at all. Yes, there might be one set which is calculation based, but mostly the questions are not based on calculations. Okay, so usually 25 to 30 is a good enough amount of time for this particular section. And as I said, it does not require too much of preparation because most of the questions are logical. And when I say logic, this is not the logic that you use. It's not like arrangements, seating arrangements, Venn diagrams. No, that's not what I'm talking about. This logic is real life logic. What do you do in a situation? That kind of a logic. Your common sense, that's another logic. So these are the basic things that they test. And as I said, you don't need to study this for hours together compared to what you need to do in an English or a maths or a data interpretation or logical reasoning, strictly speaking. But this section will not require too much of effort for you. On the other hand, you can score marks with less amount of time in the exam. But one warning for you, these are the advantages, but a warning. Trust me guys when I say this, people debate about this section for days on, and many a time both the options that people are fighting on will be wrong. You will come across questions where there will be 5 options. Of course, XAT always has 5 options. You will see that 3 friends are arguing on 3 options. Somebody says A, somebody says D, somebody says E. And you'll realize that A, D, E, all 3 are wrong when the XAT key comes out, and the correct answer will probably be a B or a C. So this is the problem with this section, because it's not maths, it is not logic, the traditional logic where you can say hence proved. It's all about your real life decisions. So the way in which I think would be different from the way in which you think. But yes, more or less in most of the cases, there is a right way to think. So that right way is what they are trying to understand. Do you have that correct way or not? So let's go ahead and take a little bit more or understand a bit more about this decision making. So as I said, first let's to understand the reason for its existence. XAT wants to see how good a student is or how good students are in making decisions that are more subjective. Objective, they're already testing you out. Number, calculation, crunching, logic, all that they're testing. Your English, they're testing. But here, this is one area which no other MBA entrance exam in our country tests. That is your ability to take decisions on a piece of information or on an event which is happening or happened. So how will you proceed forward? It's not maths. So this is a different kind of thinking. More of, IQ is what has been tested. Not even IQ actually. Your mental abilities have been tested in your normal exams. I would say this is more about emotional quotient which has been tested in this. Decisions are based on ethics. So that's one thing they'll check. They'll give you a scenario which will push you to answer saying to take an unethical mean. But again, you have to stick to the ethical part of the question. You have to stick to the ethical options. How easily are you falling into their trap? So that's what they want to check. Similarly, they are looking at business decisions. Again, it's not always about ethics. They will give you a scenario about business decision, and they'll give you, competitor information, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a past of the company, and then they'll say, what should you do? And then there'll be 5 options, and you have to pick probably the best option there. And of course, once in a while you might get data-based questions too, where some number crunching is required. But again, last year and the last before year, if my memory serves right, there have not been any question based on calculation requirement. So yes, data would have been given to you, but you don't need too much of calculation or any calculation to be done on that data. Right, so most of these questions, at least last 2 years, I can certainly say last 2 years, meaning 2021 and 2020. This is 2022. So these two, that is 2021 exam and 2022's January exam. So 2021 January and 2022 January, because XAT you'll be writing in 2023 January, right? So the last 2 years, that is this year and the last 2 papers, did not have calculation-based questions at all. Okay. So they want to see how mature is your thinking. That is what they want to test in this. Okay, how mature are you as an individual? So let's take a look at some more things about questions. Before we go into handling questions, I would like to tell you what are the types of decision-making questions that can come. Okay, firstly, there are non-calculation based. This is majorly what comes to you. Almost 6 sets I can guarantee. In fact, last 2 years, as I said, 7 sets, all of them were non-calculation based. But yeah, just to be on the safe side, I would probably say 1 set could be based on calculations. Because in the past, if you dig 4 years back, 5 years back papers, you will see decision making based on calculations. And you will see, is it a viable option or a non-viable option? Just like what a financial analyst does. So anyway, so non-calculation based questions are based on ethical conundrums. So they will give you a scenario where normally, if you imagine, there will be a very difficult situation that they'll put you in, and they'll ask you what should be the way forward, and it is not a clear white and black. So they will give you 5 options. You see, if one of them is ethical, 4 of them are non-ethical, it's very easy. But the options also will not be very clearly ethically correct or ethically wrong. So they will be somewhere in between. You have to put your understanding of ethics into it and pick the correct option. Similarly, you'll have social and professional scenarios. Professional scenarios based on work life, based on business projects or things like that. Social scenarios are also quite common. They talk about daily life scenarios. For example, let's take a case. In fact, I keep referring to this particular case about your typical scenario of an apartment. Let's say somebody complains to you saying that a particular person who's working as a maid in your house has been stealing something from somebody else's house. It is an alleged thing that you have heard, but nobody filed any complaints, no action has been taken, and then they'll build some story about it, and then they'll ask you questions on this. Now this is typically what happens in your normal day-to-day life, or if not day-to-day, at least you would have heard it in somebody else's life also. It's not something new, but how do you respond? And they'll give you options based on that. So that is called as social and professional scenarios. And of course you have business issues, your typical marketing small case. How should this marketing manager go forward? What should be his strategy? So those kind of questions will also be given to you. Professional scenarios could also be your work life, scenarios on sexual harassment. How should the students or how should the person in the HR progress? What should be the course of action? It's not about who is right or wrong per se, but what should be the course of action if you are in that position. So those kind of questions might come up. Then of course there might be calculation based questions. For example, there have been instances where profit maximizations, more about quant kind of a question has been asked, but they have moved away from this kind of a question. And of course, there are certain questions which throw you a lot of data. You think it's a calculation based question, but you'll realize all the data, you don't have to calculate anything much. It is only for analysis, and then the decision has to be done or has to be taken. So they are camouflaged as a question which requires calculation, but actually it is a simple question based on the data that you understand from it. Well, that's the nature of or the types of questions. But again, if you're looking at variations within the question, how will the question, is it that all 21 questions are what is the best option possible? No, in that also there are different types of questions. So if you're looking at the way in which a question will be framed, there are 3 or 2 ways that you can think of. The normal MCQ questions are, you have a case, you have 5 options, they'll say what is the best option to pick. That's a straightforward MCQ. All of them are of course MCQs, but in this there is a variation. Sometimes they will also give you 5 statements. So they will give you a scenario and they will say these are the 5 ways in which the individual mentioned in the scenario can act. So they'll give you 5 course of actions. Then, so let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They've given you 5 different courses of actions. Now option A will be, they will say, the question will say now, pick the correct option in the decreasing order of rightness, or what is the best option followed by the second best, third best, and what is the correct order. It's like a para-jumble question, if you understand. But here it's not jumbled paragraph. Here you're trying to understand what is the best option for him to do, what should be the second option for him to do. If that is not available, then what is the third option. That way you have to grade the 5 of them, and they say decreasing, increasing depending upon what they say. So option A will be 2, 1, 3, 4, 5. Option B could be 3, 1, 5, 4, 2, and so on and so forth. So you have to pick the correct option which will say what is the correct order of the person to do the things. So this is a different type of question, and there could be a third type of question also, where sometimes they will say that out of these 5 courses, which option has the correct responses. So for example, instead of giving you all 5, I will say option A has only 1, 3 and 5, which means it says 1, 3 and 5 could be considered. Definitely 2 and 4 should be not taken at all. So that's the third way in which the question can be framed. So they are not saying increasing or decreasing. So they will basically say what course of actions are viable, should be taken, which of them should be neglected. So option A will be 1, 3, 5, option B will be, let's say, 2, 3, 4, and if you feel that 2, 3, 4 should be done, 1 and 5 should not be done at all by the person given this case, then you'll put this as an option and then move on. So these are the 3 types of questions that can come: normal MCQ, then arranging in increasing or decreasing order all the 5 statements, and picking the correct option which talks about the 2 or 3, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, sometimes 4 also, of the ways in which the person should or can respond, eliminating or not taking the response which is not viable. Alright, so these are the type of questions that come in. If you're looking at scenario-based decision-making questions, there are a few thumb rules for you to keep in mind. Firstly, if ethics are involved, never deviate from the ethical way. Always that the answer is straightforward for them as far as ethics are concerned. Pick the most ethical option out there. Don't even debate. In real life, sir, I will not do it like this. I don't care in real life. In the exam, it has to be ethical. Okay? So, irrespective of how dumb it might sound to you, pick the ethical option only. Second, do not go for extreme scenarios. Again, normally in your RC, scenarios which are very extreme, you straight away eliminate, right? Never done, always do, all these kind of words will basically say that such options should not be taken. Similarly here also, you don't go for extreme scenarios at all. You only pick the scenarios, after eliminating these, you'll try to look at the others, right? So then the third one is, do not go for options that are legally troublesome. So when you're dealing with this kind of a question here, understand that the basic legality that, I'm not saying you have to be a lawyer for this, the basic legality that, is sufficient. If you feel that something is illegal, please don't even go for that option. For example, a very common point could be giving bribes. All of us know bribes are illegal, but it happens all over the country. Now, you might have done it in your life, and you might have done it so often that it might become natural or normal to you, but that is still illegal. So please keep please be aware that these kind of things you should not give an option which is illegal. For example, if I ask you logically in your normal day-to-day life, if I say, listen, a traffic police has caught you jumping a signal, the fine is 1500, but he's asking you for 200. What will you do? Now, if I were your friend, we are sitting over a cup of coffee, you'll say you'll give 200 and more. Why will you give 1500? It's a different issue that you've done a mistake. But as far as this exam is concerned, you cannot take that option if it already is presented to you, because there it is illegal. And of course, immoral too. So do not go for options that are legally troublesome. Eliminate options that do not directly affect the root cause of the problem. Again, there will be certain options given which will not address the reason of the problem. Which also means you should first understand what is the cause of the problem. So your answer option should address the root cause of the problem. So you should understand what is causing this problem first in a caselet. And then any option which is not directly addressing it, you can eliminate. Typically leave the question, okay, now here is my advice. If you have a question which is based on arranging of the 5 statements given to you in the decreasing or increasing order, as a thumb rule, I would say leave it to the last, because this is very tricky. It's like your typical para-jumble in CAT. You know what is the problem there, right? One here and there, left and right, it's gone. And the same thing happens here. Only thing is, this is not a theta question, this is an MCQ. So you will have 4 options. But again, even then I would say, don't start with such kind of questions, or don't do it till the end, because students debate a lot about 2 paths. So let's say if I have path 1, path 2, path 3, path 4 and path 5. So a person in that story can do any of these 5 things, and you have to arrange them in the decreasing order of his the best way for him to go forward. So what is the decreasing order for him to do these things, where the highest or the first one should be the best option possible. Now, you might definitely say 5 is the first option. First, he should do this first. 3 should be the second. Now you're not sure what is happening for 1, 2, and 4, and you might debate on this forever. That is the reason why this type of question particularly, I would say leave it to the last. And you will get these kind of questions for sure, but they will not be too many. Out of 21, probably 4 to 5 questions can be of this nature. So yes, those 4 to 5 you can come back later and do it. But don't do it at the beginning itself, because you'll waste a bit of time on these kind of questions. Okay, but these rules, obviously, if it is so easy that you can look at these rules and get an answer, then this one session is enough for you to ace your decision making. But that is not all about decision making. You need to use your judgment too. Okay, look at the logic that we are discussing in the following examples for you to understand how should your thinking be. We will look at, rather, you should be looking at the last few years decision making papers. That's my advice to you. And look at the key most importantly. You will understand how the XAT exam setters think. Ultimately what you need to do, or what you need to give the correct answer, is the way in which they think. Now you can always debate whether if it's a marketing case, this marketing action is correct or that marketing action is correct. The debate is not going to help you. You need to understand how they think. So solve the last 4 or 5 years papers and look at the key which is officially released by them. They release the key officially, and then you'll understand what is the way in which they think. Okay, and of course, most importantly, in caselets which are based on a problem, please understand the right reason, which is or the cause of a particular problem. Something is going wrong, you need to understand why that thing is going wrong. Okay, your car is not starting, that's a very general problem. What is the reason for it? So that is what you need to look at as an example. Okay, so let's move on and take a look at few questions and see if you can actually get the correct answers. So here is the first question. So this is the length that you will get for each of the passage. Based on a passage, there could be 2 to 3 questions. Rather, 3 questions is what they have made as standard. So read this. I'll give you about a minute for you to read, and then I will go to the next slide where the question will be present. Okay, so I'll just move to the side so that you can read. Yes. So just have a read at it. Okay, so I hope you have been able to go through this, understand what has happened or what has happened. Let's take a look at the first question, and this is a typical question. This is actually one of the questions I believe which has come in the previous XAT paper. So take a look at this. I'll give you once again 45 seconds to give me the correct answer. Your time starts now. Alright, any answers? Let's see if anybody's got any answer. Well, let's take a look at all of these options. The first option basically says it is a message to the MNC stakeholders that it will not tolerate such inappropriate behavior. See guys, if I am running a company and I am conducting an event, the chief guest of the event comes and slaps my company representative. Now, whatever might have happened there is no direct proof that we did something wrong. It could have been n number of things that could have gone wrong that day. Without understanding, somebody cannot hit my representative. Yes, if we are really at fault, it is still not the person's job to raise hand. You can't indulge in violence irrespective of what has happened there. So keeping that in mind, I would probably say A as the correct option, but let's take a look at the other answer options also. MNC is forced to respond given the public slapping of its representative. Company should not be forced. It should be the nature of it. It should be by, so as a company, I should be able to do this, not because somebody is forcing me, but because that is my job. That is my moral support to my employees. Assuming that there's nothing wrong by them, because nothing has been mentioned that something has been done deliberately wrong by my employee. So somebody coming and hitting my employee on a dais in which my company was involved, well, I have to make sure that I'm sticking with my employee. So I will not say B is the correct reason. The MNC intends to arrest its dropping sales post the incident through affirmative action. Guys, if the sales are dropping and I am raising a legal notice, why are my sales dropping? Simply because people believe that I have done something wrong. When I am already on the back foot, now I can't go file a case, because then I will look even more arrogant, saying that look, my mistake, people are accepting that it's my mistake. It's a different issue whether it's my mistake or not. People are already thinking it's my mistake. On top of that, I'm going and filing a police complaint on a person who pointed out the mistake in a bad way. That's okay, but when it comes to people's perspective, that doesn't matter. So I can't do that. That cannot be or should not be the right reason. So that is also gone. D, the highly brand cautious MNC is using PK to divert public attention. This is not the right way to divert public attention, because if I file a case and that becomes that is blown out of proportion, then ultimately I will be the one to lose, because people will keep remembering about why this case is in place, what did I do wrong. So I will not be able to probably divert the media attention by involving the people who were there in the function that day. So not the correct answer. The MNC's mission statement includes employee first, customer second. Good. A company can care about its employees, but that should not be the reason for you, because at the end of the day, remember, employee first is fine, but you have your customers too, and they have faced some serious injuries. So what are you doing about it? So if this is the mission, yes, talk to your employee or do something good about your employees, but take care of the customers too. So if you're looking at between A and E, if you're deciding about it, I would probably go with A, simply because it is a better reason than your option E. Right? So the correct option is A. Let's move ahead and look at the next question here. So it's again a continuation of the story. So please read this. I'll give you a minute to read. In fact, probably read and answer, probably 1.5 minutes. So your time starts now. All right, so any answers? Harsh, Komal, guys, got any answers? Well, let's take a look at this. Harsh says option E, but let's understand what is happening here. A few months passed and the slapping incident still garnered a good number of views on social media. PK's publicist was aware that PK harbored a desire to join politics. She wanted PK to make the most of the publicity around the incident before it faded away from the public memory in the next few months. Remember, it is clearly saying that the memory will fade. Which of the following options will best help PK to take advantage of the situation? Look at option A. He should visit the island and publicly promise to rebuild the island villages and publicize it on social media. It's a good gesture. Ultimately, you are working for the people. That's what you're trying to convey. You are a people person. When I say people person, this is not the corporate people person. This is the politician or political people's person who works for the people. So could be a possibility. We'll come back to it. He should launch the Slap the Greedy campaign and urge his fans to slap greedy officials. Well, this is straight away ruled out for a simple reason that asking somebody to indulge in violence is bad. It's not legal. Irrespective of what today's politicians are doing, if even you have real life examples of such a decision being taken by a political party, as far as decision making is concerned, you can't mark that as an answer. It's a strict no-no when it comes to either legal or immoral. Straight away, illegal or immoral, straight away take it out. So that's gone. He could announce that he is entering politics with the slogan "One tight slap." Well, one tight slap is a slogan, that's all. But you want to cash in on the public sentiment right now. Just a slogan might not be good enough, but I will still leave it open. We'll come back, we'll compare the answers and see. Then option D, he should meet the MNC representative he slapped and apologize to him in public meeting. Now remember, the way in which the entire situation has been given is people could have ended up liking him for what he has done, right? He felt so bad, he fell down on the stage with a hand on his head, all dramatic. So he came across as a person who felt responsible. He slapped the MNC person, all that. Now you can't go back and say, please, I'm sorry, because the people are thinking that you are for us. Then you go back there and say, then the entire narrative will change. So definitely you can rule out D. Now the last is, in his upcoming movie, in the opening scene, he should slap and shame a treacherous corporate official who swindles poor people. Well guys, E is nothing to do with politics, right? E is just a movie. People forget movies. So remember, fading away from public memory. A movie fades and a small part of the movie fades even more faster. See, you remember a good movie for a long time, but the movie will not be remembered. I mean, hardly one or two scenes in that movie you'll be remembering if they are world class. Just a small thing like this, which basically says, okay, the movie starts with me slapping somebody. Why will people remember it for a long time? For example, if you have taken some epic, iconic movies, and there is a, for example, Avengers, the first movie of Avengers where the Hawkeye jumps and, shoots the arrow. People remember that. It was one of the epic scenes. Similarly, if you're looking at Indian movies, Bahubali, there are certain scenes that people remember. Or, I don't know, I haven't seen Brahmastra yet. Probably there could be one or two scenes. They have said that really good VFX. So probably there are a few scenes that people can remember. But there's nothing so dramatic about this. So this probably will not be doing what the person wants. So this is also incorrect. Now we have to look at these two options. Now, if you compare A and C, a slogan might not be good enough compared to the goodwill you get by doing option A. It's a comparison. I'm not saying C is wrong, but which will give you more mileage, which will give you more coverage in terms of, or a good feeling from the people's side, definitely will be option A. I'm not saying C is wrong, but A is better. Hence, it is A and not C. So this is, a lot of times these kind of analysis is required, because you will not really say A and B are both correct, or rather you come across cases where A and C or A and B both will be kind of correct, but you have to ultimately give one option. So you have to pick or rate one better than the other for some reason. So that is what they are checking here. Okay, let's take the third question in this series. Okay, that question is over. So we have changed this. We have the next. So this is the last set. We'll solve one or two questions and we'll end the session. So take a look at this. It's a short passage. Read this quickly. Okay, I hope all of you have read this. Before I move on to the question, guys, if you're all seriously preparing for CAT, we have from BYJU'S Exam Prep and All India Open Mock. This is going to be taken free of cost by students across the country. Whether you are a BYJU'ite or not, doesn't matter. You can take this exam, you can write this mock. Just download our app. The link has already been given to you there in the chat. You can just download the app and take the test for free. You can see your All India ranking. Most of the toppers will be writing this exam simply because this is the last 2 months. Almost all toppers will be writing the open mocks across the board. They don't miss open mocks of any of the institutes. So make sure that you write this and not miss it. The closing for this open mock is 9th of October. So today is, I believe, 7th or 8th. 7th? Yeah, today is 7th. So 8th and 9th. So Saturday and Sunday, you have 2 days. Don't miss this mock. Right, so let's take a look at the question. Here's the question. I'll give you 1.5 minutes to go through it and give me the correct answer. Okay, any answers? Sai Pradeep, Harsh, Komal. Any answers, anyone? Okay, let's see what is happening here. So here, Amish is worried that this call for boycott might affect them. So what should he now go forward and do to do kind of a damage control? So let's take a look at it. Publicize on social media that FICT has nothing to do with the celebrities association with other brands. Now obviously this is not going to help anybody. Whether you say I don't care what this person is doing or not, he is representing you. He is representing in people's eyes some evil also. Which means you are indirectly supporting evil. That's the way in which they will look at. Now whether Vadiya's dictator is evil or not, keep it aside. I'm just saying how people are looking at it. So your option A will not help anybody. So I'm sure A is not an answer for any of you. B. Declare on social media that FICT chose a celebrity for his philanthropic work. Now, if he's really philanthropic, then there is something wrong in him going and supporting or going and becoming a brand ambassador for a dictator or of a country which is ruled by a dictator. So you are actually pointing out the issue, the problem in the actors. Portray of philanthropy. So he might be doing few things, but then he's doing something else which is completely negating it, and you're highlighting that. So probably B will also not be your answer. Look at C. Withdraw all advertisements involving the celebrity from all media platforms till the social media moves to another issue. Could be a possibility, because ultimately what you're saying is put all advertisements on hold till people move to something else. But the problem is, if I have a brand ambassador, most of my ads will be having the person, brand ambassador. Now, if I'm saying that I will put all ads on hold, then my company is not going to spend any money on marketing. So people will forget about my company. Would I want to do that? Probably not. Let's keep it aside, because the problem here, you have to identify the problem in the option C. You are stopping advertisements, or I'll have to create ads which does not have this person. Whether those ads exist or not, we still don't know. So let's keep it as a question mark right now. Ignore social media backlash. The moment I say ignore social media, I will probably say no to it, because today you cannot ignore social media the way in which trends are. So this definitely is not your answer. Publicize on social media that the celebrity's endorsement of Vadiya tourism will help improve the livelihoods of Vadiya's poor. Now this, you have to compare with your option C. Now C basically says stop all advertisements, whereas E very beautifully says that, look, point out that he is actually not in favor of the dictator, but who is doing this because he will promote tourism which will help the poor people of Adia. So you are completely deflecting the perception of the people from him being a close friend or approving the dictatorship to you're changing the perception of people to think and say that, okay, he's not supporting the dictator, but he is going there so that the tourism can become better. Irrespective of the dictator, tourism could become better, and the people, ultimately the poor people, will probably benefit. So you are basically showing the good side of his work and changing the reason why he might have taken the project. So if you compare C and E, again, C had a problem, E did not have that many problems to discuss at all. So I would say E is the answer and not C. Because C has a big problem, which is you are asking to stop all advertisements involving the person. It could be possible that I can do that and use other advertisements, or I might not be able to do that. But that's the problem. Am I or am I not? And E solves that issue. I'm basically saying that, look, he's not doing anything wrong. He's actually doing it for the poor. So don't misunderstand him. Okay. So this is the way of thinking that you need. So let's take a look at another question. So this is option E, that is done. Here is the last question for the session. Look at this, 1.5 minutes, and I'll give you the answer after that. Right, any answers, guys, for this? Okay, Harsh says C or E, Sai Pradeep and Komal. Any other options from you guys? Okay, let's quickly take a look at it. Fix average monthly sales volume. This is important. Volume has increased by 5% since the SAU slogan launch, driven by the sales to repeat customers. So look at it. What you're basically saying is, look, since the competitor started advertising, my repeat customers have purchased more. What does it tell you? It tells you that my loyalty, or the people who are loyal to me, are not going away. It's a good positive sign. But is it the best possible answer? We don't know, because we haven't read the others. Put a question mark. Could be a possible answer. Look at the others. Fixed average monthly sales revenue has decreased by 3% overall. Obviously there's a decrease. So is it an effect? Maybe, may not be, but definitely it's not an increase. So something decreasing is a worrisome reason for me. Is the reason the competition or not? I don't know. So comparatively, this is definitely not my answer. Look at C. Number of visitors of Fix homepage has increased by 15%. Now, what about Fix increase in people? Now remember, guys, when something bad happens, you would probably want to check out who that person is who's done that. That could be a reason why people come to your website also. For example, videos of accidents. Not a really nice thing, accident, right? But people watch a lot. In fact, you make reels about random accidents all over the place, big trucks falling down. People like to watch those. Does it mean that they want that thing to happen? No, but they would like to look at it. Similarly, just because I'm going to a website does not really mean that I want to buy its product. It just means that I want to see who that person is, what are they doing, that's all. So this will not convey, or I cannot determine that people, the effect of the competition is negligible. I can't conclusively say that. Okay. Then look at option D. More people are looking for cash on delivery for high-end products since the SAU slogan began, which is against company's policies. This is nowhere related to my problem. I want to convince or try to explain that the competition is not affecting me. This has got nothing to do with that at all. So straight away my D is gone. Then E, fixed average monthly sales revenue has increased by 1% overall since last month. Now this is again a question mark. There is an increase. But remember, volume versus revenue. The revenue can also increase if you just jack up the price of your product, right? So now what you need to understand is sales revenue versus sales volume. Volume tells you that more and more people, or at least people, are not going away from you. But again, even if you're looking at revenue price, it is 1% versus 5%. No, both of them are on the positive side. Which one would you use? What is the best one to use? Obviously, I will use a 5%, which is numerically higher. Also, logically, volume is higher than revenue. Because revenue is just a function of volume and price. So even if the volume decreases, if the price is sufficiently increased, my revenue can go up. But volume per se is increasing means people are coming to me, people are trusting me. So the competition is not having that much of an effect. Could be a possible reason. If you leave all that also, I'll still simply go by 5% versus 1% and say 5 is better. Right? See, Harsh, percentage increase is just by repeat customers. Exactly my point, because the brand loyalty has not gone away, which means people are not going to my competition. Not necessary, Harsh. Remember, driven by sales to repeat customers does not mean that everything is coming from them. Also, if my repeat customers are coming back to me, it cannot be that one group of people in the world are coming to me, the others are not coming to me at all. It won't be like that, right? Please understand that. There will be others also, so at least people are not going away from me. That is a guarantee that I can look at. Also, that's why I said, if you leave all that, just look at the percentage wise. Just look at the percentages. 1 is a very small number and you can attribute that 1% increase to anything. It could be a random chance also. It's not a big enough number for you to worry about. Will XAT classes be separately conducted for paid students on the platform? I'm not sure what is the plan for it. RG, you will probably have to talk to the counselor or the mentor that has been assigned to you. Alright? Fine guys, let's end the session here. You've been a very patient crowd, I believe, so that's nice on an afternoon, so go have your lunch. All the best in your preparation, and most importantly, don't forget to write your open mock if you're preparing for CAT. So go to our app, download the app, write the open mock, which is free of cost. Thank you and see you in the next one.